Hey Mallards, it is Sunday and today I watched Civil War with my dad because while we were watching Black Widow on Friday, he came to the realization that he was confused about the timeline and that confusion was largely in part because he hadn't seen Civil War. So we watched that and I haven't watched Civil War in a while. I've probably only seen that movie, this is probably my fourth time. So it was fun to go back and watch it, and also really reframes all of Black Widow, which obviously I've just seen, when you think about the fact that Natasha has this conversation with Tony where he's like, can't believe you let Cap go. Also, Ross is coming for you. You should probably run. And she's like, you're right. I should go. And she walks away. And then at the end of the Black Widow film, she's like, thanks for the Quinjet. Really need that. Because I gotta go and break some people out of jail and, get my family back together, right? Which means that the entirety of the Black Widow film takes place in between that moment where she walks away and that moment at the end where Cap, breaks everybody out of the raft. And you know what Captain America and Tony Stark managed to do in that time? Just beat each other up in Siberia. I watched a TikToker who was like, the Avengers don't deserve Black Widow. And wow, I really, very strongly am feeling that now. They do not deserve her. They have done nothing to earn the magnificence that is somebody who spent 3 days and discovered and then defeated the entire Red Room. Discovered that the Red Room still existed, put her entire family back together, used them to defeat the entire Red Room and free all of these girls, and went back and helped put the Avengers back together. Meanwhile, the only thing that Steve and Tony managed to do was break each other apart more. Pathetic. There should have been a Black Widow movie a long time before this. Which, obviously there should have been for a myriad of reasons. But I'm also glad they waited because maybe the people who are creating the MCU needed to spend this much time figuring out what they're doing with their lives before they were ready to handle a character as awesome as Natasha. Worth mentioning. Anyway, I did other stuff with my day. I worked on Storium characters. I did some other writing. I did some work for audio recording. I had food. I hung out with my family. Had a very nice day. But I didn't film a darn thing. Oh, I learned a lot about the Tour de France. And more than I think I wanted to know about NASCAR races. So it was an eventful Sunday. Where I mostly just thought about how awesome Natasha is. And how lame all of the other Avengers are. Although I do like the bit in Civil War where Clint shows up and he's like, I was retired for 5 minutes and you guys screwed everything up. And I was like, this is true. This is what happens when Clint leaves. When did Clint Barton become the stable Avenger? Somebody tell me. This is an MCU thing only, clearly. But it was really fun to watch Civil War with my dad because Civil War is a pretty funny film if you ignore all of the terrible things happening in it. It's got a lot of quips and moments. It was especially fun to watch with Dad because he has seen all of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. But he clearly had no idea who Zemo was because this is Zemo's only movie and didn't really have a good grasp on Sam and Bucky, and also didn't have much of a grasp on Sharon Carter besides what she is in the Winter Soldier film. And then I also had to explain to my dad my whole Sharon Carter Steve Rogers romance problem because they have their kiss in this film and I went, ugh, and Dad was like, is there a problem? And I was like, listen, Sharon Carter's awesome. I love Sharon Carter. I'm so glad she's in the MCU. I like her turn as a villain. We've talked about this. But they put Peggy Carter into the MCU and they did not need to make her niece a romantic interest to the guy that dated her aunt. They did Sharon dirty by doing that. Anyway, those are all rants for another time. I should really maybe actually start using a TikTok to rant about the MCU. Maybe that's my calling. Short videos that no one will watch that are just me giving MCU opinions. It would be like my YouTube, but shorter. And probably just as many viewers. I'll see you tomorrow.